You can't stop me now. You can't stop me now. Though my feet have come too far for you to tie them to the ground. Can't stop me now.
Hello, everyone. This is Madeline Dale with the Chapter Goddess, and today I have another amazing author for you guys to meet. And I'm going to let him go ahead and introduce himself and tell us a little bit about his books.
Hello, my name is C.T. Phipps. I'm the author of The Rules of Supervillainy, Agent G, Cthulhu Armageddon, and several other books. I'm happy to be here and ready to talk about whatever my host will ask.
Awesome. So I know we chatted briefly about two specific books in the email. Go ahead and give us a little bit of the synopsis for each of those.
Oh, yes. By all means, I am very happy to give a discussion on my books there. And which would you like to start with?
Let's start with Agent G Infiltrator.
Thank you. Agent G Infiltrator is a book that's set in the near future of our present time there, where technology has rapidly developed there, but it's still recognizably our world. And then over the course of 3 books, will transform into a full-on cyberpunk dystopia. And Agent G is kind of an interesting character because he's normally the kind of guy who would be a villain in a cyberpunk book there. He's a suave corporate assassin working for very much the bad guys, but he has a bit of a conscience that gets him in a little in trouble. Not so much that he wouldn't be a bad guy in any other series, though. And I think that's part of why people like him. Agent G Infiltrator is the first book in the series, though it does have the omnibus version already out, so it's a completed trilogy. In Infiltrator, G is still very much a loyal soldier of the system and is desperately trying to finish his 10-year contract because supposedly if he does, he'll get his memories back. He's had them wiped as part of it. While he lives a very good gilded cage life there, he wants those back. And unfortunately, well, would you really trust the people that have been hiring you to kill people for, 10 years straight and to give them back when you're about to retire? There's no retirement package, not in any of these books anywhere. Probably real life.
Yeah, that sounds like a good book. Go ahead and give the synopsis for Rules of Supervillainy. Did I say that right?
Oh, yes. The Rules of Supervillainy, by contrast, is a very, very silly work there. When I was originally setting out, I was thinking, like, I'm going to write this big, serious, dramatic urban fantasy series that's going to be what I'm known for there. And then I kept getting, from the MCU and my lifelong comic book fandom, these quirky, funny, weird ideas. And so I eventually decided just to get the idea out of my head and onto page. So I created the idea of Gary Karkovsky, aka Merciless, the supervillain without mercy, trademark.
Wow.
Yes, Gary once wanted to be a supervillain from the very early parts of his childhood, just like a certain Goodfellas quote. And well, when he finally gets the chance, when he gets the magic cloak of the recently deceased superhero protector of his city, the Batman Doctor Strange analog, as I call him.
Cool.
And unfortunately, Gary discovers something as soon as he becomes a supervillain. He's not quite evil enough to pull it off. And what does his wife think? She doesn't approve for some reason. Yeah.
Is the wife the girl on the cover with him?
That's actually Cindy, his lifelong bestie from high school onward, that went into the henchwench business. Or she calls it hench person. And Cindy's a great character there. She ends up working for Gary despite the fact he's absolutely terrible at this and helping him through the ropes there. And they have a wonderful banter.
That is good. They sound like great friends.
She's 90% of why people buy the book in the first place there. Oh, that looks like a Harley Quinn. Snip. $5 purchase price.
That is kind of what
Currently
I thought when
99
I saw it. So
yes. Oh, yes. Well, she's definitely influenced by that, though I point out she wasn't nearly as popular a character back then.
Yeah.
I knew her from Batman the Animated Series at that time.
The old school version, yes, as I like to call it. So where did you get the inspiration for the characters in the Rules of Supervillainy?
Well, the Rules of Supervillainy is more or less a lifelong homage to everything I love about comic books. And there are many, many jokes that people just familiar with the movies would get. And the central concept of a guy who, once he gets superpowers, decides to make money from it and being treated as perhaps the rational decision versus fighting crime and sacrificing like Peter Parker. As he would say, with great power comes great irresponsibility. No, wait, I'm getting that wrong. Yes, and Gary lives in a over the top, ridiculous kind of Gotham City with magic analog. He's a person that's just like, oh well, there's a guy flying past my window. I'm sure he's chasing something. Kind of world, and I feel like with literature, you can go as over the top as you want without a $200 million budget.
Oh yeah, definitely. You can
Oh,
come up
yes.
with all kinds of fun stuff.
Yes, and if you're not a casual fan and you are a ridiculous 20, 30, 40-year nerd like myself, then you will get some of the references that will go over the heads of almost everyone else there. Like, for instance, right in the middle of the book, Gary finds himself being hunted by these badly proportioned, barely dressed, huge shoulder pads and big gun bad guys that are my homage to all of Rob Liefeld's creations of the 90s, back when superheroes were meant to be extreme.
Yes.
And I'm like, that's a joke that's already 20 years old. It horrifies me to say, probably close to 30. And yet so many people like, oh, I remember when comics were terrible.
Yes. Yes. Gosh, that makes me feel old.
Oh no.
So which one of these books did you have more fun writing?
Well, Gary is always more fun there. I can just dash out a book of him with the rapid fire Kevin Smith dialogue that just is pretty easy to write there. The characters just constantly sniping at each other. And then something ridiculous happens. It's like, gorillas with rocket packs are attacking. What? Oh, yeah. And I developed many characters I truly love there. And especially when Gary is giving his lengthy speeches about how superheroes are all secretly hypocrites and bad guys and just keeping the man down, just serving the man. And then, we meet them and they're perfectly nice people. And Gary is like, that's what they want you to think.
Yeah.
Agent G, by contrast, is a bit more, and I emphasize on a bit more. He's still a snarky wise ass, but I kind of like combining cyberpunk, James Bond, Hitman, and Deus Ex, and seeing about where it all lands there, where being the super agent and suave guy is really irritating to everyone who just wants you to do your job.
Yes.
It's like, real spies are not supposed to act like you do.
Oh my gosh. So what does your writing process look like to create all of these fun characters?
Well, I followed the very good piece of indie advice, which someone gave to me, is like, write the book you want to read and everything else will follow.
That is good advice.
Yes. Don't try and chase trends at this point. Just get that book out that you feel is entertaining to your sensibilities, and someone will sense the sincerity and pass it on to them if they like it. And if they don't, well, write another one.
So that's good. So do you try to write every day, or?
I write when I feel like it, when I have time, and you eventually make the space, or if you want to do it, and it's something that I'm happy. Some books take longer to write than others, and and you just got to strike when the iron is hot, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
If you're if you have a scene in your head, get that down there, even if it's not related to anything else you're trying to write.
That's good advice. I have not thought about doing that. Even in my own writing, I should probably try that. That's good.
Oh yeah, I mean, the funny thing is, right now I'm working on a I wouldn't say Star Trek parody, I would say Star Trek Mass Effect parody. And the thing about that is, it has nothing to do with any of my other projects there, but I keep getting these scenes in my head, so I'm putting them out there, and they're all disconnected. And I'm like, at some point, I need to go just weave these all together into like 2 or 3 books and see what happens. And I will. I've done that before.
Yeah. Do you find it hard to weave them together?
Yes, sometimes. I mean, it's utterly impossible to do so. Several times I have started books that I think, oh, I'm halfway done, I'm going to finish that, and I'm like, no, this is just not working. I'm like, put in the trunk with the rest of the would-be masterpieces, and maybe I'll come back to it later. Maybe I won't. We'll see how it happens there. That's how you know you're a real writer, when you're comfortable tossing away your work for a bit.
Yeah, like I'll come back to it when your mind's in the right headspace, if it ever gets there. I've got a project I started in January, and I got maybe 60 pages typed up, and I was like, I can't. I got to come back to this. Like, it's just not gonna work for me right now.
And there's the thing, so I have gotten to books where I'm like 60K in, and I'm like,
Mhm.
just 10,000 words from the ending. I'm like, I need to write something else. I'm just blanking right now. I'm
Yeah.
wasting space, and that's the best way to do it, and you'll eventually weave back down to it. Of course, there's also the argument that all new writers need to understand too is probably if you think a work isn't good, it isn't.
Mhm.
That's what it's never as terrible as you think it is, but there's also a chance that there is a chance you may have to go back and just completely rewrite something, and that
Yeah.
is a good thing.
Mhm. I agree.
Another piece of advice I got very early on that I took to heart is the first million words you write will be crap.
Truth.
It may be best-selling crap. I mean, I'm not talking. We have many fanfic inspired movies on Netflix that they're just crap all the way to the bank.
Yeah, it's
And be
true.
proud of that. If you can make the deal, do it. But you also are going to grow as a writer too, and you should understand if that first completed manuscript is terrible and awful, and you never want to see it there. That is something you've still gotten it down. You've improved your process, and the experience itself is worth it.
That is excellent advice. So when you write, do you have something like tea or coffee or anything specifically that you drink?
Oh yes, I'll have a big Tim Hortons tea next to me whenever I'm doing interviews or writing, and I don't have it now, and I'm just like I'm feeling now the process deprivation.
It's messing with you, huh?
Oh yes, of course I'm in the attic, and the air conditioner is functioning really low, and it's like 110 degrees in here.
Good
So
Lord, it is hot today here too. I'm ready for summer to be over. So
oh yes, I used to love summer. That was before summer was 120 degrees, and we were all living like Vulcans.
yes, gosh, it's bad.
Just say June.
So if you could share something interesting that readers don't know about you, what would it be?
Oh, there's absolutely nothing interesting about me. That's the most interesting thing about me whatsoever. There, I have rescue dogs, and I really kind of fell into my writing process versus academia, and I'm very glad about that because it's so much more fun.
Probably saved you money on loans too.
Oh
So.
no, I took way too many out there, and I got the degree, and it's just absolutely worthless. I have one of
Yeah.
those that if at least I gotten it from Jamaica, it would have made a good conversation piece.
That's true.
No, unfortunately, it's from the University of West Virginia, and I'm like, no one will ever look at that seriously.
Yeah.
What, literature? Why did I get a degree in that? I didn't need that to write.
There are a lot of people that would argue and say you need it though to write,
I don't know. I'm glad, it was a very worthwhile educational experience there, but don't take out loans if you can find any other way to do that there.
Yeah, I made that mistake myself. I think I'm going to be paying
There's
student loans until I die.
There's that Family Guy scene where Stewie beats Brian with a pipe, going, "Where's the money?" Yeah, that would be better. The
Probably.
Government, yeah, they're investing in our future. No, they're not.
So
Where's the money?
if you want your readers to find you, where can they find you?
Oh, C.T. Phipps is found on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Smashwords, many other places. You just have to enter my name and probably something like Super Villainy, and it'll pop up there.
Awesome.
I'm also on Goodreads, Facebook, and I have my own fan club there, and a blog where I review random stuff like whatever catches my fancy in hopes, hey, this guy's kind of funny. I'll check out his books. Yes, that was the whole reason.
Sweet. And I'm going
Everything
to have
an author
the
does
links.
is advertising. Never believe otherwise.
Yes. I'm going to have your links too shared below in the comments, everybody. If you had anything you could leave our viewers and readers with right now, one thing to tell them, what would it be?
No, don't say buy your books, okay? Just enjoy whatever you check out there, and always buy the books that you want to read rather than things you feel like you have to.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. This is C.T. Phipps, and I hope you check out his work.
You can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. My feet have come too far for you to tie 'em to the ground. You can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. Set my sights on where I'm going at and turn it back around. You can't stop me. No. work hard's here for destiny. I've taken a long way proud. Oh, I know what I've earned, and now it's my turn. Lighting the fuse, let it burn. My time is rising, but you can't bring me down. Can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. My feet have come too far for you to tie them to the ground. Can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. Set my sights on where I'm going. I ain't turning back around. Can't stop me. Can't stop me now. No, 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 no. You can't stop me now. This is the calm before the storm. You know what's coming, so be warned.